At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Out with the old and in with the new. It's time to save big at Room to Room's New Year's sale. Store-wide markdowns 50 to 70% off. No tax. 48-month special financing. It's a new year at Room to Room Furniture in Tupelo. There's no place like home.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're excited about that or not, we're going to be talking about winter weather over the course of the next few minutes, as if we haven't all week long. And you would have to probably be under a rock to not realize that we have winter weather on the way, and it is not for everybody. Hopefully, if warm air can win. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. Over the first 12 here, you can see we're 46 at 7 p.m., 43 by 10, 41 by 1 o'clock in the morning, 39 by 4 a.m., and by the time kids head out to school tomorrow morning, 37 degrees, and that is well above the freezing point. I point that out because I'm going to bring Gabe in for double duty here for just a moment, again, at our Mississippi Live Game of the Week location at this time. And one of the things that, Gabe has had to ask the folks there is, are you having school tomorrow? Gabe, as of the latest it's happened again. I hear him. There you are. Stay still because it's you don't have good service there. They have school there tomorrow?
It should be. I think it should be good. So yeah, basically what we're talking is that winter weather potential heading into the weekend. And yes, we confirmed Cal will have school tomorrow. So Wildcats out there, make sure to pack those bags. But the thing is, there are some reports that are coming in confirming Coffeyville is tomorrow. The reports you're seeing circulating on social media, you guys are still again next. But as we get to our game of the week, Coach Coffey letting us know that he's very excited that it is on Thursday night. Our Ethan Foster joining us here in Calhoun City. Of course, looking at those latest updates with the winter weather, but very grateful that it's on Thursday and not Friday, so we can stay clear of that winter weather potential.
Maynard there. We had a little connection issue with Gabe to where we weren't able to necessarily hear everything he said there. But what he was saying is he checked with the folks there in Calhoun County about it. And there are actually, some reports from Yalobusha County, some fake reports going around that school is out tomorrow, and checking with, some official channels there. That is not the case. So we have a place on our website where you can submit those school closings. You can check those out as well. And by the way, it logs your IP number, so no funny business, kids, as far as that is concerned there. This is the big headline again this evening. While we have all of these alerts in place, all the places in purple that you see here, including where Gabe is out there in Calhoun County, the issues with this start tomorrow as we go into the evening, meaning you get to school in the morning fine, and you likely, again, get home from it fine as well later on in the day. We'll check with Gabe and Ethan later on in this broadcast there. But again, all locations, I think, with at least a limited threat of wintry weather. We'll wind things out a little bit more on Mama Justice Doppler radar. Again, just showers out there. Nothing of a great significance at this time as cold air moving in from the north with our high pressure center there. Continuing to track again. A couple of different waves back to the west. They're going to be a part of digging in and bringing us the ice potential. Kind of this lead wave, which is a little better than it looked a couple of days ago. And then the big one back out there toward the west coast, sending all the energy our direction. And so tonight we're, ahead of all that. Any showers that we have, again, light and going to be liquid precipitation. Nothing too terribly concerning with that. Again, keeping it mainly dry and obviously way above the freezing point for tonight, which is why we get kids to school and we get them back fairly clear as well for tomorrow. As you can see here, Futurecast keeping us, again, dry to begin the day. So 38 again at 6 a.m., 39 degrees at 9 a.m. there. We're going 43 by noon, 44 tomorrow afternoon. Above the freezing point, ahead of the wintry precipitation. We are in good shape. We do not have concerns that we're going to have any sort of travel issues for tomorrow. In 60 seconds, though, we start breaking down the locations that most likely will. We're talking impacts. We're talking where icing in particular is most likely, because unfortunately, ice is most likely That's coming up here in 60 seconds as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center. Appreciate y'all for supporting us here. Like and subscribe. More updates coming up here in just a moment.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovehon.
Again, thank you so much for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather. Like and subscribe all of the different platforms there. We know we have, again, a robust chat going on Facebook. We will do the best to kind of talk to folks about that coming up here in a few minutes. But I'm on the wide, very colorful shot here to show you that we are not alone. More than 2,000 miles stretching from back in Arizona through the central U.S. and back to the Northeast under some form of precipitation and winter precipitation advisory. Most of that is a pink winter storm warning. That's about the highest level you can get outside of a blizzard warning. For our area in particular, as you can see, unfortunately, we have these purple counties, and those purple counties are ice storm warnings that extend from Greenville back out the locations in LaFleur County toward around Greenwood to north of Grenada, back up toward Tupelo and out toward Tishomingo County. And in all cases there, icing is a possibility, and in possibly more cases than where we are showing this here in a minute. Let's talk through this with something, again, debuting here on Mississippi Live Weather. This is the Winter Storm Severity Index over the next couple of days. How bad, how major is this winter storm? That's what this graphic attempts to display. And so when you see the colors here, where we have those reds and oranges and yellows, that's where obviously the most significant impacts over the next 3 days are possible. You'll note today, there's not any. Tomorrow, there's not really until late tomorrow night. And then as we go towards Saturday, obviously things ratchet up. When we talk about snowfall, again, a reminder, that is not what we really have on this event. Perhaps a couple of flakes. That's where it's like, well, maybe. On this index, you'll notice there's a clear-cut area where snow is most likely. It is to the north. It is impactful there, but it is not for us. And if you look at the snow load, when you start thinking about, is it enough to cause some issues to structures? No, not here in Mississippi. Though, again, you don't have to go very far north of the state line to see how that goes up. And you might ask the question, well, how can you go from practically nothing to something so significant? It is that changeover from ice to snow that we will contend with here. That is a huge part of the reason why. And the ice impact, again, we don't have those for today. We largely don't have many for tomorrow, though not impossible for the pre-dawn hours of early Saturday morning. That's where some of this risk comes in that's showing up there. Pre-dawn Saturday morning some, but certainly it is Sunday that we have those ice impacts Saturday and into Sunday, early Sunday morning, that really time frame there where obviously significant icing impacts are possible. And you might notice kind of a correlation there between these two. When we look at the snow impact here, right there, the snow load impact, how it's much higher up there north of the Tennessee state line. And then all of a sudden the ice impact just south, that color changes there. And again, that's showing greatest likelihood to probably have more ice for locations up that direction. But no ice this evening in Calhoun County, our Mississippi Live Game of the Week, presented by Casey Lott. Looks like that, adjusted forward. We're going to fix that here for a second. Apologize for that as we bring that back to today. I don't know why that decided to hop ahead on us. Let's try that. We're going to play nice. Well, we might have had the first graphic here that froze itself out. In fact, that's last week's now that I'm looking at that. Might not have updated that one, Gabe. That's okay. Forgot all the things we did this week. We forgot that. Again, appreciate the good folks at Casey Lott for sponsoring our Game of the Week forecast. We'll talk to Gabe and to Ethan there coming up here in a couple minutes about this. One thing we know for sure, school day forecast for tomorrow. You are going to school. You're coming home from school. Any of those issues, of course, we'll have those online there here in a few minutes. Again, if there are any cancellations, delays, there's a way. Again, folks can post those online. And one of the things that we showcased earlier: beware of fake school closings. I've seen a fake school closing going around for Yalobusha County on their official Facebook page. They contradict that. You can submit yours again at msliveweather.com, closing/submissions. It logs your IP number. So as I say there, no funny business, kids. I'll narc on you. Not afraid. Ain't scared. Okay, so let's start off with the 7-day forecast and build from there. Tomorrow we're going to have a mix, but it waits until very late in the day for that to happen, meaning most of tomorrow we're well above freezing. Saturday, we anticipate that some of us are above freezing a decent chunk of the day, others of us are not. And that's, again, where that freeze line makes all the difference on positioning. By Sunday, we're looking at, again, freezing and below for most of us, most of the day, hence the reason the icing becomes such an issue. Then after that, ice conditions continue in the next week with really, really cold air. Again, leading with the 7-day forecast, we've got a lot more to go into with this, but I wanted to start here as a building block from where we go from here. And again, that is to alerts with the winter storm watches waiting to be upgraded for locations Golden Triangle back to the west. We have ice storm warnings that continue to be in effect starting tomorrow from Greenwood back to Water Valley, Bruce, Houston, Amory, Tupelo, New Albany, northward. And this, again, is where we expect travel disruptions in the purple and pink counties are likely. They're possible in the blue and purple counties. We do expect probably more locations added to at least kind of that lighter purple, if not the deeper purple, before this is all said and done. And all of this starts late tomorrow evening, with those chances continuing into Saturday. So what to expect? Peak impacts here in the areas in orange, and those impacts would end up being this ice mix that you see there at the top of this. So we do expect an ice mix likely from many locations. We are hopeful that warm air could at some point overtake us in our confidence level out here, Starkville, Columbus, back toward Amory, but we're not there yet. That's one thing that we're looking at tonight when we look at Ice Finder, and we'll start off with horizontal icing. You might ask, well, how does that make a difference? Well, this shows us how surface icing plays out on this. Now, this is slightly better using our strike model than what we had. This displays it for the entire next week, and of course, obviously, it is Saturday and into Sunday that we're looking at this. On this particular projection, we see these brighter pinks. This is horizontal icing up in excess of a half an inch. As you can see, whether it's Tate County, where they issued a state of emergency already in advance of this, back to Greenville there, back up toward Oxford, Tippah, and Benton counties. A lot of locations, again, under that ice threat for potential for ice storm on a horizontal sense. Another way we can show that is using what we call radial icing. Again, that would look at icing around an object like a power line or a tree branch, how in a radius around it, the circle around it, we get that icing. And looking ahead at that, again, something you can see only here on Mississippi Live, those numbers are luckily not as bad. Hopefully that's a good sign on where this is at. We do show somewhere between 0.2 of an inch and 1/10 of an inch of ice on the radial icing. In talking to the folks at Tom Bigby Electric Power Cooperative last night, one of the things they said, when we get above a half inch of radial icing, things start getting really tricky. This is a positive sign as far as that is concerned. But we have a lot of other projections to dive into. And we will do that here in a minute as we break down all of the different ones and how they play out toward the end of this broadcast. But again, watching conditions again over the next couple of days. But right now, we're still ahead of things, and it's all just lighter showers and milder temperatures as far as tonight is concerned. Low temperatures tomorrow morning, we're in the 30s, but we're largely above freezing. That's why, again, kids go to school in the morning and probably hopefully above freezing even into the afternoon as well. Again, north winds continuing to can bring in, again, the cooler air, at least trying to, but we're dry enough, and I think we start mild enough that we'll probably make it through the 40s for highs with all the wintry precipitation, again, still staying to our west on your Friday in the afternoon. High temperatures, low 40s, maybe some mid 40s out there. This is 10 degrees above freezing. This is mild enough that anything that falls melts. We're good on Friday during the day. But Friday night is when things start to get trickier. Again, that colder air continues to settle in, and then we see this wintry mix start to approach us 10, 11 o'clock. That is a slower onset. Again, one of the things that has helped the conditions to be in better shape for tomorrow. Starts off light, and this mix is a combination of, there might be some flakes, because I think this all starts off as snowflakes, but I think mostly it's going to be a mix of rain and some sleet. That's the way this typically starts as it moves in, getting heavier as we head toward around 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning there, possibly putting down a glaze for some spots in those pre-dawn hours of early Saturday morning as that spreads over top of us. Again, we're still sitting at Thursday evening, Friday, Saturday morning, 36 hours away from this. We will see changes in this precipitation by then. As we add in temperatures, you will notice Tupelo sitting at the freezing point, or Houston there right 1 degree above. This is why, again, when we look at those peak threats, a lot of us, we have concerns that we could have icing even where we have temperatures. Again, as we go to a different model, kind of show the latest high resolution that we have here, you'll notice as soon as we add that in, that we have quite a bit of rainfall, and most of this falling probably as liquid rain more than really anything else. But honestly, here's the question. Looking at 36 Tupelo, 37 Houston, how confident are we in these temperatures being above freezing? That's where we look at our model comparison on this to decide that and kind of show you where you're at. So if you've been watching our live broadcasts, you know that I really like some projections, and I really don't like some others. So this is the one that I like to start with, and we'll kind of go from here. Let's look at surface temperatures in particular, and let's look on Saturday and Sunday. So let's look at surface temperatures, and we're looking here Saturday morning. Let's go Saturday midday. And this is one of the projections that had been one of the most aggressive at how warm we are. Notice how, I'm going to go back and forth here for a second. So this is noontime on our in-house strike model, 39. Now, let's look at the European one that I usually have very high confidence in, and it's 28. That's a world of difference on what happens, right? 39, it's all rain, whew, no big deal, whatever. But 28, with the kind of moisture we're showing, that's serious icing. That's the concern. So that cold air, and you can kind of see it sort of halfway through the area, that cold air is largely entrenched over about half of the area. Warmer air trying to move northward there out of the Gulf of Mexico and push that freezing line northward. And it subtly does late into the evening on your Saturday night and early Sunday morning before the colder air kind of spreads back through the area. But again, this is going to be a war fought over the battle line of where that freezing line is, and it is not one that we want to be on the wrong side of. So again, there's a lot of different projections I can show here, and I'm going to show a different one that we'll kind of look at, and this one is going to look at temperatures and wind direction. I'm going to start again with that European, and I'm going to start with the most recent version of that. We're going to compare kind of run to run on this. So this is on a slightly different website here, and we're going to look at that freezing line. So this is, I'm on Sunday there. Let's bring it back to Saturday for a moment, shall we? So this is tomorrow night. This would be Saturday night. And so I probably want Saturday midday. Apologize, it'll take me a second to get that there. So this is that same projection. Again, kind of looking at how that freezing line is about halfway through the area. And you'll notice at the top here, we have tons of things to show. And not all of these are on the same level. But notice that most of them, again, look at the positioning here. That's Monroe County, where the battle line is. Back to western Clay County, back to the west and southwest there. So most of these keep Tupelo, Pontotoc, Union County in play as far as cold enough to be on the ice side of this. The vast majority do. Now, there are a few that are warmer, like our in-house model I was showing you a second ago, that's kind of best case scenario, or these that are unfortunately not. Now, some of these, again, some of the higher resolution ones are warmer, but higher resolution models sometimes struggle with very, very shallow cold air. Even some of them that were milder last night have come in a little bit cooler. And so one of the big takeaways is that I still say that the graphic we showed right off the top is probably the most valid one that we can show. So I'm bring it back up here again. And I would make some edits to this. Let's bring it back up. So this is why we show the peak impacts are going to be right next to that freezing line, where you have just barely below freezing temperatures at the surface, and the rain falls and freezes on contact. So that's why I keep Tupelo and Houston and Eupora and Kosciuszko in this peak impact area. You're essentially in the ice with just greater impact possible for you because of the way this works. So we're watching closely. I could conceivably maybe move this green a little bit farther east, maybe Starkville, maybe Louisville. I don't think I can go north into Monroe County yet with that. But that warm air, that is the fight over what will happen. As we've talked about, that's what that snow eater, that warm air aloft, that kind of figures into this. So again, I would say the big headline here is that we will continue to have the potential for, I think, wintry precipitation into this upcoming weekend. But here's the main thing to keep in mind, that when we look at these various winter weather threats, you're not getting snowfall. You're likely getting ice and sleet or rain. But the exact locations on those, that is the tricky part on how this plays out. And that's the reason why we expect travel impacts to be troublesome. And I'll tell you right now, I could stand right here on Friday night, tomorrow night, and we're not going to be able to nail exactly where that freezing line is. We're going to have a better idea, but you need to be planning, even if you're in some of those counties that I was showing you kind of in the pink and you're not in the highest impact, that you could get stuck someplace for a little while. Okay? Coming up in 60 seconds, we're going to talk to our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, and our Ethan Foster there in Calhoun County at our Mississippi Live Game of the Week presented by Casey Lott. We're also going to answer some of your questions as well. We know you've got a lot of them. Join the conversation in our chat on Facebook, on YouTube. We appreciate y'all for your different questions. Put them in there. We'll take a look at it here in a second. We'll see you in 60.
Game day brings its ups and downs. Celebration and disappointment. Anxiety and relief. Friends and enemies. You can always argue over who should have won, but everyone can agree on great food. Appetizers, entrees, drinks, party platters, or even the taste of sweet victory. There's something for every season at Eat With Us restaurants.
As we move into storm season, here's something most homeowners don't realize after a storm. Roof damage isn't always obvious. Wind can lift shingles, breaking the seal. Hail can bruise them below, and flashing around chimneys and pipes can loosen without you ever knowing. That damage may not show up for months. If your area has strong wind or hail, a professional inspection will help bring you clarity before small damage turns into bigger problems.
Welcome back here at Mississippi Live Weather at 6 o'clock. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Loppon. We're looking out in Pontotoc, one of the locations that will be near the battle lines on the frozen side here under an ice storm warning. And we're generally looking back toward Calhoun County, where we have our Mississippi Live Game of the Week sponsored by Casey Lott and the folks over at Langston and Lott. Our Gabe Maynor and Ethan Foster are there in Calhoun County. Again, excited to have our Game of the Week there. What do y'all have for us this evening?
Yeah, Matt, well, it's a good thing the game is happening on Thursday night. That's something that we can say with certainty because with the winter weather moving in, they're glad that they're able to play this game. Now, our game of the week, Calhoun State, home of the Wildcats, Wildcat Country, playing the Oklahoma. It's going to be a great weekend. I'm going to say, before we get started, our Ethan Foster joining us. He's our pro whenever it comes to this sports analyst stuff. So he has all the details that you need to know for this big-time matchup tonight at 7:30.
Absolutely, Gabe. Every week you use it. It sounds like that. I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm just going to let the people believe what they want to believe. But yeah, like you said, with Wildcat Country tonight, We've got Calhoun City going up against Oklahoma Chieftain. So to set this game up, Gabe, we've got the home team, Calhoun City, currently in their region, 1A, Region 4. They lead that region. They're having a pretty good season, 755 right now. Perfect in district play. That's what matters. Yes, absolutely. The home team looking pretty good tonight so far.
Yeah. So whenever we're talking about the Oklahoma team, what stands out with them? What's their record? Where do they currently stand in their division?
Absolutely. So we've got Calhoun City in 1A Region 4. We've got Oklahoma in 1A Region 3. And I'm talking about that second, because I know that can be a little bit confusing. You don't keep up very close to it. Oklahoma right now not having as stellar of a season as the Calhoun City Wildcats. However, what we do know about Oklahoma is they're number 3 in 1A Region 3 right now. Okay, but they really have kind of an almost tie for second place in Region 3. So right now, overall, the season 12-8 currently, 4-3 in district play. So not as bad as it might seem. But when you're done up a team like Calhoun City, who's not off the district team yet, it always feels a little bit worse. But absolutely not a bad season.
Exactly. And Calhoun City, we covered them with football. They ended up winning the state championship. And so they know how to win. And so heading into this matchup, I mean, we are in City. What is your pick? Tonight's matchup.
Well, Gabe, so as the camera tries to keep up with Gabe there, we always try to keep up with Gabe, right? I'll just go ahead and tell you, last week we saw that we got some nice hardware from Tishomingo County. Well, this week we've also got some nice hardware courtesy of the Calhoun City Wildcats, and that's going to be my pick tonight. We've got a real helmet. I'm going to put this on. Oh, yeah. There we go. Now, it doesn't quite fit, but it's going to do it for tonight. I'm going with the Wildcat because when you mess with the Wildcat, you know what happens, Gabe?
What happened?
You get scratched, okay? I'm really picking the Wildcats tonight because not only are they a very good team in 1A Region 4, they're also a really good team in 1A period. They're actually the 4th best team in 1A right now overall. Not just region talk, 4th overall in 1A. And actually, fun fact, another team that's in 1A Region 3, which is Oklahoma's region, is Ingomar. They're leading that region, and they're actually the 3rd best team in 1A right now. So Region 3 and Region 4 are pretty strong competitors for that 1A state title this year. That's by what we see. So we're absolutely looking forward to that. I'm going to take this off because it's not fit for my non-high school sized head. But thanks so much to the Wildcats. Thanks so much to John Maker who got me this helmet tonight. We really appreciate that. We'll take it home, but we got to use it for our picks tonight, and that makes a lot of sense because we are in Wildcat country. So I'm going with the Wildcats tonight, but Oklahoma can play spoiler to that purpose district hunt. And Oklahoma needs to win to actually move into second place of Region 3. If West Mounds loses tomorrow night to Smithville, Oklahoma wins the game tonight. And second, they want to do that soon so they can try to compete with Ingomar, who's right now undefeated in district play.
For sure. Well, tip-off is at 7:30 tonight. That is our boys' game. We will have highlights. Spear second of the week. Spear squad coming up at 10 o'clock tonight. Can't wait to see you guys there. But for now, I mean, again, also a big thanks to the KC Lot for thanks to the lot for allowing us to be here. Can't forget that as well. But for now, live in Calhoun City, I'm Gabe Gamer. Mississippi Live Weather.
Okay, now, can you hear me? Come to the phone. Come to the phone. Okay. Make sure the microphone is pushed in all the way. Is the microphone pushed in all the way? No, not those. Onto the phone. The connector on the phone. Is it in solidly? Yeah. Did it click?
Yes, it's in.
Try it now. Talk
it's in. I'm looking at it.
Okay. Now talk on the mics. Both step back. Talk on the mics. Let's try this. Let's see if we can get this figured out. Step back for a second. Talk on the mics.
Test 1 2. Is it working?
Give me a tap. No, not working. Oh well. We'll get that fixed next week. Now, Gabe Maynor, are you Foster there?
We'll troubleshoot it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Do our best.
Fine. Okay, hey, y'all stay safe out there, and looking forward to the game and all the highlights and everything that we have coming up tonight on Mississippi Live Weather at 10 o'clock. Okay, let's talk about your questions here. Again, watching from Gulfport, Paul there. Again, sorry again, the phone. We had some issues there. Appreciate all you in Belmont and everybody else for for liking, subscribing, and tuning in to us this evening. So as I look over some of the questions here in our Facebook chat behind the scenes, Belmont wanting to know, what does the temperature have to be to have freezing rain? And the answer is it has to be 32 or lower. So if you're lower than 32, we're cold enough. And so again, I can show a bunch of different ways, but I think this explanation might be the best. So give me just a second here to kind of pop it up. Let's get rid of that. And this is something I probably should have thrown in sooner in our broadcast. See here. And we're going to talk to the folks at IMPC here in just a second about another way, again, you can stay prepared for active weather. And I'm going to change my set here for just a moment, so I apologize. We'll kind of change it like that. This is probably the best way to be able to display this. Okay, so let's talk about these different precip types and what we're dealing with. So in order to get freezing rain, what happens is above the surface, we have frozen precipitation. It's going to be ice of some sort, and typically it's going to be snow, right? And so it's snow because it's above freezing up there. And then we have a layer of the atmosphere that I say is warm, but warm is a relative term. It might be 33, 34, 35 degrees. That could be it. And in that warmer layer, that's where everything melts over into liquid. And then it's just cold enough at the surface, meaning it's below freezing. 32, 31, 30 degrees is enough. And then when it comes in contact with surfaces, power lines, trees, things like that, it freezes. So freezing rain is not cold rain, it's rain that freezes on impact with the ground. Hence the reason that sometimes it's like, well, it's just rain. Yeah, it's kind of the way it starts, but obviously there's other issues there. When it's just rain, it's going to be the same thing. It's all starting off as snow, but it's above freezing all the way to the surface. And that means everything melts all the way to the surface. That's what we want. Now, when we're talking about sleet, typically what we have to have is we have that warm layer aloft, and we're going to have this. And really, it's going to be a fight between freezing rain and sleet on what we end up seeing here. And it comes down to the depth of that cold layer. And even tonight at 10 o'clock, we're going to have a better understanding if we can get a deep enough cold layer there to have sleet, which would be a better situation. And then obviously snow, it's got to be cold all the way down. We've got warm air aloft. That is not what we will see. So preparing is what we recommend. And again, with those winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, and for most of us, those ice storm warnings in effect, preparing is important. That's why we bring in folks to hopefully make this a little bit more straightforward. Appreciate the folks at IMPC for being sponsors with us here. Dr. Shane Scott there with IMPC talking about, among other things, how you need to prepare medically for an event like this. Shane, thank you so much for joining us this evening on Mississippi Live Weather.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having us.
Okay, so one of the go for it.
So yeah, a couple of things that just as we have another day, or less than 24 hours to prepare for the storm, is to make sure you've got your medical supplies that you need. I think most commonly about our elderly who are on oxygen at home who may lose power with the ice event. So making sure there's plenty of portable oxygen for our elderly patients who are on oxygen. So those things, even if you run out, probably they're not going to be able to deliver those. And typically we wouldn't think about that unless we have an event going on. The other thing is water freezing. So if we've got little babies in our homes who we are making formula for, and maybe using tap water, boiling tap water to make the formula each day, if our water freezes, that's not going to be an option. So making sure you've got some bottled water around to make that formula with, or some other source of water, saving some water that you can even get right now and save it in case you do lose water pressure or freezing over the next 48 to 72 hours. It's also good to have a little emergency kit. Obviously, our children often get sick at inconvenient times, so likely they're going to start running fever in the impact of the storm. When it's cold outside, we can't get to the local drugstore, so making sure your supply of Tylenol and Motrin is available. And two, if you are feeling unwell in the morning, it might be wise just to go in and get seen by your local provider. Obviously, we're at the clinic, we're seeing lots of flu A and B. Many of your viewers and even around our home had a Disciple Now events this past weekend, and we've seen lots of cases of flu from people who went to Disciple Now this past weekend in the Lee County area. So you're going to be cooped up for the next 2 to 3 days, staying warm, and that's going to be a great breeding ground for other viruses. So knowing what you've got before this takes place, so you can kind of be mindful of who's in the room, whether it's someone who's immunocompromised, would be helpful to kind of get that taken care of here on the front end.
So, and part of the reason you mentioned on the front end, it's probably going to be fairly difficult for you guys to get to your own offices. Potentially, you have office in South Philly, but you also have the office in New Albany. I mean, if everything goes the wrong way, it might be a few days before you guys can open back up. So preparation wins in this case, right?
That's exactly right. And so we've already decided that we're going to close on Saturday and Monday, and we'll open back up on Tuesday, just because it's or uncertain, and lots of our team members live in areas that are wooded and don't have good roads, and we're not sure that they can get to the office safely. So we want to make sure that people can take advantage of good road conditions tomorrow to see their provider and make sure that they've got everything taken care of before the storm hits.
It's that phrase, right? An ounce of preparation is worth a pound of cure. In this case, not necessarily the true medical example, but there's just so many things we have to do to try to kind of prep, right?
Absolutely. And there is a good thought as well, as it's going to get cold, is carbon monoxide poisoning is very concerning when we start using generators and things like that. And a good way to think about carbon monoxide poisoning is it feels like the flu, but you don't have a fever. And so, headache, dizziness, fatigue, weakness, nausea, those type things should be concerning for folks, especially if you're using heaters or, like I said, generators, not good ventilation, just because it is so cold outside. So just be mindful. If you're not feeling well, don't just assume that it's a virus. It could be something that you're being exposed to that would need immediate medical attention.
And the thing is carbon monoxide is odorless and colorless. So if you don't have a sensor in your house, you're not going to actually know that that's what it is. You're just going to feel bad and feel worse and feel worse. And I think, some of the fireplaces are okay. But there's also those ventless fireplaces that from time to time can throw some carbon monoxide in within complete combustion. Are there other things people need to look out for?
Yeah, I think it's heat. Some people will choose to use gas stoves for heating, which is not a recommendation at all. Also, propane heaters, if they're not in well ventilated areas, can also have carbon monoxide poisoning. And two, generators. So thankfully, here in North Mississippi, there's not a lot of occasions where we use generators. And so some of us may be less experienced in ventilating a generator, or maybe the generator is running really close to a window, close to a door, and it just doesn't have proper ventilation, and those exhaust fumes are actually coming into our home, and we're breathing that without knowing it. So I think, with the stress of the storm coming in, we're all trying to stay warm and doing what we need to do to stay healthy, but just be mindful that these things can happen to us, and we don't want to be a victim of these circumstances.
We're talking with Dr. Shane Scott with IMPC, and I'm going to see if I can get this to kind of connect back to my earpiece here in a second, because it does sound like we're getting some kind of a little feedback there. So I apologize for that. I'll get that muted. I'm checking here to see if we have any kind of questions for folks there. Don't seem to have a whole lot of questions. Anything else you want to ask tonight, or anything else you want to say?
Just be careful with falls. Often, the ice that we see is going to be, sometimes you're not going to be able to see that. High fall risk for our elderly patients, going to get even younger patients, middle-aged folks going out to get something, firewood or whatever. Just be careful about broken hips, broken limbs, because it will be difficult to get to healthcare if the roads are not clear. So just be extra careful with getting out and about until this event is past.
Okay, that's Dr. Shane Scott with IMPC. Thank you so much for sponsoring what we do here at Mississippi Live Weather. Thank you for helping us here to hopefully give some good information to folks at home about this. Appreciate y'all. Stay safe, and pray your power stays on like a lot of other folks.
Thank you.
Okay. So as we bring it back in here to the room-to-room weather center, again, the big headline tonight is going to continue to be that we don't have anything tonight. But starting tomorrow night, that icing potential increases. And while it's not for everybody, we do have some prayer requests here. And yes, I understand this is science, but I'm a man of faith. And so let's talk about prayer requests for a moment. And the prayer request is going to be that snow eater gets eaten some of whatever else is gonna try to fall as well. Because if I were to kind of telestrate on here for a moment, we are going to have warm air kind of coming up like this. And for 10 o'clock, what I am looking for is if I'm going to be able to pull this green line somewhat farther back to the north. I could probably make that argument there, but honestly, this is still just the primary precipitation type that we're looking at there, as opposed to just, there will be some of the mix even in the pink there that is ice, but may just be primarily rainfall. So ice mix, could be hinging primarily on the rain, even though it does have some ice mixed in. So keep that in mind. I'm going to kind of pull behind the scenes here. So let's see here. He's told us it's 48 hours out. You wouldn't have precise knowledge in the area of more rain. Need some more time. Here's the thing. This is still, as we look at that forecast timeline, this is kind of a graphic that we have shown a number of times this week. The forecast, gets obviously clearer as we get closer to these events. So let me see here. Is this going to be my graphic here, hopefully? No, that's talking about road conditions and safe driving. Let's see here, timeline. Yeah, here we are. We've shown this graphic a bunch of times this week, and let's talk about where we land on it so we can hold what we're doing accountable so that we're answering the questions that need answered. So again, we're beyond 6 to 8 days out, the extended forecast. Consistency, we've had pretty consistent weather ideas. Now, here's the deal. We're still 3 days out from Sunday when you think about it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we're still talking about wintry stuff on Sunday with maybe more certainty than we should. But we are pretty sure that we're going to have a rain and sleet and freezing rain mix on this. And we're pretty sure on the timing. The location of that freezing line is kind of the hinge point on how this all ends up developing. And then, of course, as we look 0 to 1 days out, that's why we can say with great certainty that Friday, to and from your destination, you're fine. We're a day out. We have great certainty on that. We have exact timing on the late evening arrival and the locations of the western part of the state. So I know it's hard because we've been talking about it all this week and everyone wants it refined down to their time. But in this last day or so is when we can clearly do that. We're showing you that with what's happening tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to have even clearer idea of Saturday. And there is still hopes that we could end up with primarily rain for some locations. I just find it difficult to believe it's all locations, but certainly something to pray for, that snow eater above the surface here. You can appreciate Winona and Hatley and all the other locations for chiming in here. How are power outages looking for West Union and Myrtle area? So let's look at icefall. So we will look at multiple projections on total ice here related to this storm system. So let's kind of talk that through. So we're going to start off with I think we'll go the Barron 3K here as we kind of talk this through. And then I'm going to show you on something else how that plays out here in a minute as well. I don't think that goes out quite far enough. Yeah, it does. So you can see some of the icing, which, as you'll note here, has the potential to be extremely significant for some locations. So not all of this is going to be on those like, power lines and stuff like that and stick. If some of this ends up being sleet, that cuts into some of those overall totals. But as you can see here, this is what we're talking about. And clearly emphasize this, I think, a little more clearly at 10 o'clock. That sharp cutoff there between Amory showing nothing, or honestly, let's look there in Calhoun County for a moment. See how Houston, we have the folks there in Calhoun City today. Of course, Calhoun City, a little south of Bruce. And this is one projection, one time, positions, amounts. That's all going to change. But that's showing well over an inch. That might even be over an inch and a half of ice on this particular projection right there between Bruce, and then quarter inch of ice in Houston, and then nothing once you get out there, closer to like the Una community. So that shows you how sharp the contrast can be, and you get those sharp contrasts when you're fighting that freezing line and you're throwing heavy precipitation right on top of that. So a different projection I'm going to show you here is I'm going to look kind of raw at the precipitation on that same model. Let's just go. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, let's do this one. So it's the same model, but what I'm going to do is I am going to, actually, we'll choose a different one. Hold on. Let's come down here. Yeah, we can do this. Let's do Saturday earlier in the day. No, Saturday late day, because I think it's a Saturday night. This is where you look at those heavy amounts and you go, well, where'd that come from? We're going to look at just rainfall on this. So ignore the mix. I'm going to change this over to where it's just rain, which is not what it'll be. It will be a mix. But again, it comes down to that surface temperature on what type that mix is. So again, I'm going to get rid of the mixed for a moment here and take it just the rainfall. I'm going to go out where the numbers don't matter as much. And the reason we're doing this is, again, you see that warm air with that warm front charging northward. Let's go ahead and clear that off. And so as that works its way northward, notice how you have a little more red showing up in some of these showers there late Sunday evening into these overnight hours. These are probably thunderstorms. And if the cold is in the wrong spot, as I put that precipitation type back on, you can see there's a very good chance it could be in the wrong spot. If it's in the wrong spot, this is thunder sleet. And God willing, it's not thunder freezing rain. But that's where those heavier totals come in, is this projection's going, hey, there's going to be some thunderstorms out there, and it's the perfect recipe, just below freezing, and now you have thunder sleet, thunder issues. And that's where the heavier icing totals come from. And you can see here, I'm going to pull up the Sunday data here in just a second, go through Sunday. In fact, let's just go and add that here. Give me a moment. Let's take that through 6 a.m. Monday. So let's back this back up. So the issue is, you look here at Sunday, these are a lot of thunderstorms back southwest at 7, 8, 9 o'clock Sunday morning. And this could swing the pendulum dramatically if this is a little bit colder, because if we have thunder something at 32, you could have gone all the way through Saturday and just been rainfall, Macon and Aliceville and Columbus, and saying, we're good to go. And then this causes real issues if that cold air is just a little more dense, a little farther east. So that's where, again, some of these very legitimate, kind of serious concerns come in, is if we end up with thunder, sleet, or something like that, that could really up some of those totals. We're hoping that's not the case, but certainly this projection has some thunder in with it. So we will definitely see. Again, I'm looking at your comments here behind the scene. Someone's saying thunder sleet. That's wild. So are we getting ice in Tupelo or not? Probably, yes. And that's where this graphic here that we have, again, I think kind of this kind of outlines it the most clearly, which is the peak impacts. And this matches up with where we do have all of our advisories and stuff. You'll notice this is basically the exact same view here on kind of where we have the peak ice storm warnings. And Tupelo, you're still smack dab in the middle of it. So it's too early to lock on to where the model's showing just rainfall, because cold air being a few miles different could mean that throughout Lee County, it's a tall county north and south. And there could be dramatic differences between what happens in North Lee County up in Guntown and what happens in Nettleton down in South Lee County alone. And that's just one instance there as well. So I would say Tupelo, I should still be preparing. Bruce, Tupelo, Boonville, New Albany, Houston, Bacupora, Grenada, Kosciuszko, Ackerman, still preparing for the potential for ice. And I do know that for folks down here in down in Ann Ackerman or Winona or Kosciuszko or Eupora, you don't right now have an advisory that's been upgraded for you. National Weather Service in Jackson is waiting for better and better data. As it gets closer, they can hone in on that. Still waiting on them to do an upgrade. They will upgrade to probably either a winter weather advisory, which is what we have out here for Hamilton and for Vernon, or they'll upgrade to an ice storm warning. So we will see which of those it ends up coming up to. And, that upgrade will occur either tonight. Our next live broadcast is expected to be at 10 p.m. tonight here in the Room to Room Weather Center. And we probably should have a better idea on those upgrades of advisories. And we will be looking at the latest on where that freezing line sets up. That's coming up here in the Room to Room Weather Center at 10 p.m. tonight on Mississippi Live Weather at 10. And then tomorrow morning, our meteorologist Maggie McCauley back once again. She's going to be here Friday morning. I think I'll be with her starting at 7 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. with the very latest on the overnight thinking and where this is going and how you should prepare. That's tomorrow morning. And then as we go into Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have morning shows as well. Both of those days might be extended based upon the active weather occurring at that time. Maggie will be helping me out in those cases. Gabe will be helping me out in the evenings. I'll probably be a part of all of those. We thank you so much again for your support. Speaking of your support those sponsors that support us here on Mississippi Live Weather. It's the only way we keep the lights on. We appreciate all of you guys again for that support here. Next update, 10 p.m. We're looking to see whether there's expansion of this ice storm warning. Hopefully that's not the case. It definitely could be. Keep it here for the latest.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. We knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lopon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lopon has proven himself trustworthy.